Hello. In this video, we'll look at row-level permission management in custom tables in Water and Solstice, so a bit of an advanced use case. Well, what do I mean? I mean, if you have a custom table, now it's possible for you to set rules to say which row is visible to which user or which group of users, so which organization branch, for example. So you might have a case like this, where you've got a listing of projects and partners that you can then implement in your survey as a cascading reference question. And then certain users might only be able to select a given partner because that's who they work for. So you might want to have rows that see this partner but don't see anything else. Here is a survey where I've implemented a simple cascading reference question with these three partners. And once you'd select one, then the way that cascading reference questions work is that you then only get the following options that are possible if you first selected this partner. So in this table, as you can see, if you first select this partner, those are the only two rows where it's present at the moment, so you can only select these ones. And then we'll also be able to know this project code and so on. But the use cases you might have in mind can be very general indeed. I'll also say a little bit about custom tables. I'll add a link to guidance around them. But basically, in our platform, these are tables that you can import data to in any format you like, and then use that in your analytics and your maps and so on. It doesn't have to be a survey. It doesn't have to be a site. Okay, so what do we need to start doing row by row permissions management? Well, first of all, I've created this workspace where I have my table. And this is in the tables URL. And I've made sure in the cogwheel that for this whole workspace, everybody relevant has at least viewing access. I'll be showing this example using the demonstration organization, so I'm making sure that in general, subject to future rules, the viewers, people who are part of this organization can see this table. Otherwise, we might encounter errors. And I've created this table by adding a table, which can be manually entered or it can be imported. And I've created a few columns: partner, project, and code. To start setting row-level permissions, a good way to do it is to add another column to your table and then set the organization branches, groups, or individual users, mark them in this column. Once we do that, we can then create a rule in this table to say, if the current user filling out the survey is part of any of the organization branches mentioned here, then they get to see the row. Otherwise, they won't. So, in my organization, my example organization, this first partner is here. So I'm going to add that as a permission option to those first two rows to begin with. I just need to click in here and then know exactly what I'm selecting. And that is country C and this partner. And now I've created that. Note that the permission column is exactly of this type. The written guidance will also talk about this. The type is a list of references to another table. So that means we're reaching out from our custom table to Water and Solstice's list of all of these user groups and permissions, as long as we choose the referenced table to be this one: users, organizations, and groups. And because we've chosen a list of references, it allows us to have more than one option here. So you might want to have two branches that both have the same permissions for a row. So you can use the list type to have more than one entry. I've called it permissions column just to keep it clear. I'll do the same here. And so on. So for example, for project B, this other partner, I might just say that anybody who's part of country A gets to see that, and so on. And my task then is to fill out this column appropriately. I can import that data in, or I can fill it in manually. That's part one. So now, in theory, we know that if a user is part of this branch, they should see this row of the custom table. However, next we still need to tell the table that this is the rule we want to implement. How do we do that? we go to the cogwheel for table level settings and add a filter rule under here in the advanced section. We create a filter as follows. First, we choose the permissions column. So nothing inside the column, just the column itself. Say permissions column, and we change the operator from includes all of to includes any of for better performance. So on the left side, we have permissions column, or whatever column you've created. We use the operator includes any of, and then we select, well, what do we select? We select what's available in the variables option here. Subjects, groups, or so on. And that means that what this effectively means is that for any given user accessing this table, they have a variable called subjects. What are they part of? The system knows that this user is part of this group, this branch, these organizations, and so on. So the system will then compare what you've put in the column, the permissions column, and the user's list of permissions. And if this evaluates to true, so if the user's groups include any of the things you've put in the permissions column, then it will evaluate to true, and that user will be able to see that row. We've left a few things blank here, but let's see if that works well. I've deployed this survey, and I know that there are a few user accounts who are part of this organization branch, including this one. So now, if I log in with this test account, synchronize my surveys, and start filling in a new one, I'll choose the one we're working on. It will load this cascading reference question, and it will show me this Arasaka partner. And within it, it will show these two rows. And I don't see the other options, which is exactly as I should. Some other user who's part of country A will be able to see this row and not the others. At the moment, only admins can see these two rows. So that's the basic approach for row-level permission management in custom tables. I've added another way of approaching this issue into the written guidance by creating multiple filter rules. That can be useful in some either more complicated cases or small tables that you don't need to maintain much, where you want to avoid the problem of entering data into a column. But otherwise, I would recommend using this approach. Create a permissions column, list reference to other table, the other table being the users, organizations, and groups one, filling it in appropriately, keeping it maintained. And then you will be able to do these advanced, pretty nuanced, but possibly very useful things. Okay, do take a look at custom tables in general and see if they fit what you need to do in the system. Sometimes data is best recorded in surveys, often in sites. When neither of those fits, think about custom tables, importing data sets from elsewhere to be able to build visualizations and analytics around any data you need to improve your work, make it more efficient, and get the results you need. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.